Greetings. In this video, we are going to look at as to how the five elements came to existence and their interconnection with one another. So we are going to look at several references from the Vedas at different portions. So to start off, let's look at the very genesis of the five elements. And we have to look at the second chapter of the Taittiriya Upanishad of the Krishna Yajurveda. And this is the second chapter, which is also known as the Brahmananda Valli. So the opening of this Upanishad itself quotes several verses, which we will see now. It goes from Tasmat va etasmadātmana ākāshas sambhūtah ākāsāt vāyuh vāyoragnihi Agnerapah adbhyah prithvi prithivya oshadhayah. Right? So, in short, it starts off with the verse that states, from the Atma, Tasmat Atma, right, sprang Akasha. So, Akasha is the element which is misinterpreted to be space in the English vocab. Now a better term would be ether, right? So there's no really proper English term for Akasha. So Akasha is a dimension. It's one of the five elements, and it is a dimension which holds the very cosmic archive, right? So next, Akashat Vayuhu. Now, from Akasha emerged Vayu. So, Vayu, wind or air, emerged from Akasha. Next, Vayoragnihi. From Vayu arose Agni. So, from wind or air came fire. Agnerapaha. So, from Agni came Apaha. In other words, from fire arose water. Adbhyah prithvi. Right? From water, adbhyah, came earth, prithvi. So, earth came from water. And then the verse goes on to say as to how the herbs and plants came out, were nourished by the earth itself, and which ultimately were consumed by humans, which became the annam for humans. So here we can see a link. Now from Akasha came Vayu, from Vayu came Agni, from Agni came Apa, from Apa came Prithvi. So from ether, air, fire, water and earth. So as to say, so why is this sequence like this? We have another significant verse from the Purusha Suktam. Purusha Suktam is an important portion of the Vedas. It occurs in all the Vedas, right? So we have a small portion which speaks about the elements. It goes in the verse, Adbhyasambhutah prithivyairasahacha. So this again speaks about the five elements. If we expand this verse, we come to the understanding that from the essence, the absolute consciousness, right? So the essence itself condensed as ether, ether itself condensed as gases, gases as plasma, plasma as liquids, and final liquid as solid. So looking at a bigger picture, we see as to how the elements came from a single essence, a single source, and they expanded from the most subtle aspect to the most gross. Here we see Akasha as being the most subtle and Prithvi being the most gross. We can even prove it by looking at it in a more profound way. Now Akasha can be perceived as a single unit, which is sound, right? So even the Vedas were downloaded as sounds from the Akasha. As I said earlier, the Akasha is a cosmic archive. The entire data of the cosmos is encoded or held within the Akasha. So it can be perceived as sounds, right? So Akasha can be perceived in one unit, which is sound. Next, wind, right? From Akasha came wind or air. Now air has two dimensions to it. Sound, you can hear the wind, and touch, you can feel the wind. Next, fire came from air. Now fire has an extra component. It has sound, it has touch, and yet it has a form. So fire is the first element in the sequence to have a form, right? And from fire came water. Now water has sound, touch, form, and in addition it has taste. Finally, from water came earth. Earth has sound, touch, form, taste, and a last component which is smell. You can smell earth, right? So as we can see, it gets more gross, and this again tallies with the very verse of the Gayatri, which goes as Bhur Bhuva Suvaha, right? So Bhuhu to Suvaha is from the gross to subtle, right? So the five elements are in real a single aspect which is just manifesting in different dimensions of intensity, right? And they have the same source. Now you can see as to how the very elements are interlinked to one another. Since they are in real just one, we can see how nature itself plays with the elements, and this is why the five elements are the very play of Shakti, and they are the very form of the Shiva, which is your absolute consciousness. Now, the last interesting portion from the Taittiriya Aranyaka of the Krishna Yajur Veda. Now, Aranyaka refers to the forest treaties. Traditionally, this portion of the Vedas were learned in the forest region, and they indicate a particular discipline, right? So, in the Mantra Pushpam, right, this portion of the Veda, the Aranyaka, is recited as Mantra Pushpam on contemporary. So we have several verses which interlink the elements, right? So to quote one, Agnirva Apa Mayatanam. So fire is the source of water. Now this is something which we already saw. Now yet a couple of verses later we find a very apparent contradicting verse which goes as Apova Rayatanam. Here it says water is the source of fire, right? Doesn't it look like it's contradicting? But if we look at a wider view, we should understand that, as we had seen in the previous references of the Vedas, the elements are all in real one. Their source is one. So how is water the very source of fire? Now let us look at a common example, lightning, right? So water in the clouds are the basis of the fire which is in the form of lightning. Or another example, water in the form of digestive juices is the source of the fire of digestion. Next, we have another verse, Vayurva Apamayatanam. In this verse it states, air is the source of water. Again, it is something as to what we already saw, right? And then again, the contradiction comes, Apovai Vayorayatanam. Here it states that water is the very source of air, right? So how is water the very source of air? Again, looking at nature, evaporation, right? The water cycle, through evaporation, water becomes vapor, right? Vapor which comes under Vayu. And just to quote another example, air being the source of water can be seen as water vapor, which is the source of water in the form of dew, right? So the dew, which is liquid, has come from the vapor, right, which is in the form of air. So in a way, all the elements are linked to one another, and they have a common source, which is the Atman. That Atma is you. And so that absolute consciousness, when it plays its game, it condenses to different levels in a spectrum from the most subtle to the most gross, and it just plays. The entire universe is a play of these five elements which are in real the same essence, and that essence is from a common source, which is Atma.